Hi there, and welcome to episode 77 of the ADHD Adults podcast. This is the imaginary numbered edition of our Doomed to Fail experiment of adding more white dog poo to your lives. As usual, I'm James Brown, and I'm more famous for not being able to correctly time a poo between meetings than for a 20-year career as a research scientist. And as usual, I'm joined by the man who hasn't done a successful poo since 1996 due to his reliance on an 18th century medication, Dr. Alex Connor. And Sam's here as well, but I've run out of poo jokes. Hi, Sam, Mrs ADHD.
Hello.
And Alex, hi.
I poo very well, thank you. Top tip for you, papaya, James. Change your life.
Oh, really?
Yeah, makes
I poo regularly,
prunes look like once every month, whether I need it or not. Right, just a reminder that we started the podcast for educational reasons, but people genuinely do sometimes ask for more personal reflections and bonus content, despite how unlikely that might seem. Now we've got time for an extra one, as I typically don't work in January and February because my employers have said I'm actually so great to work with, I don't even need to turn up or be paid. James has got more time in January and February as well because the dark mornings and early sunsets mean he can be out of his crypt a lot longer without bursting into flames. Vampire jokes. He's very pale, you see. His hair makes him look like an extra from Count Duckula.
Count Duckula.
And Sam is here for the extra one as well, but to be honest, it's because she thought we were playing online Boggle today.
What's Boggle?
Well,
I'll play it. I'll play it.
It's good. It's a logic game. Have a look online.
Really?
Yeah, it's good.
I've got a new game. Oh my god.
I've seen
Personal reflections. Yeah. Al?
I think it's you, James.
Oh, fuck. Got that wrong. Okay, sorry,
mate. This reminds me of Monday. Do you remember when we recorded Mondays?
I wasn't, 10 minutes ago. I wasn't looking at the script, obviously. Monday's episode, Sam. This is Thursday's episode.
Oh, right. Yes, of course. We've had a gap.
Very short one. Anyway, this Amstrad CPC 464 of a podcast is also a tragedy in 3 parts. We'll discuss how the week between podcasts has been from our own perspective as people with ADHD and as people involved in the ADHD community. We'll answer some questions from the community. Remember to send them in on the socials or Discord, and we'll talk about a little bit more about this week's theme, which none of us have personal reflections on, which is seasonal affective disorder. Why we chose it, I didn't, and how we feel about it. So we'll start off with how... oh, no, it's in blue, Alex.
Oh.
It's written in blue. He's got to do it.
How was your week? It says here. As always, we ask, how was your week in ADHD? I'm going to start with James. Come on, James. How was your week? How was it?
I spent a lot of it with you, so shit mostly, wasn't it? Yeah.
You loved it.
No, actually, it has been lovely. So we've done. I just need to quickly say one of my favorite YouTube comment yet from somebody called Sapphire said, "Are you doing talks?" I think you may have mentioned it at some point.
That's really good.
which I love. And
that.
I know. And this week, Alex joined me for 3 talks: Birmingham, Nottingham, and Sheffield. And Mrs ADHD was there for 2 of those, and it was lovely. About 1,000 people across the 3 talks almost, and again, just it's a room, it's a safe space. It's a room where almost everybody, the vast majority, are neurodivergent and unmasking and being themselves, and sometimes being applauded when they say, "Oh God, I'm sorry, I forgot my question in the Q&A," because everyone actually understands and gets the thing.
Yes.
So the bits with you, not so good. The bits helping other people, really good.
Yeah.
What about you, Al?
Oh, didn't do much really. No. It was amazing, really good. I spent the whole week mainly standing on stage, ruining a perfectly good one-man show in Birmingham, Nottingham, and Sheffield. Very, very, very much enjoyed it. Thank you. What about you, Samantha?
It's been mental this week. Really, really busy. I was really stressed at the start, and then you came and stayed, which was lovely.
Yeah.
And I did an introduction to coaching course, and I loved it, and that was great.
James and I have been saying you'd be a good coach for ages, haven't we?
Yeah, but you can
And
tell
it
the stuff
turns
and
out
she
I
doesn't take
actually
it
am
in.
good at it.
Mm.
And I'm not good at anything. So I'm really pleased about that.
Okay. What stupid thing have you been doing instead of what you were supposed to be doing?
Do you think people can tell that James trod
He's
on
had a
that
bad
thing
morning.
or picked up? Yeah, he's definitely had a bad morning. It is funny for me.
It's hilarious that he's bleeding and angry. Yeah. So, anyway, guys, what stupid thing have you been doing this week instead of what you were supposed to be doing? First, Alex.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have a lot of time for extra bullshit because I spent so much time with you this week. Oh, do you know what? One thing I did, I was so careful on my travel back from Sheffield all the way to Nuremberg yesterday that I strapped everything to my wrist and I needed to charge my phone. So I got this my only English plug with a USB charger. I plugged it into the wall in the first class lounge at the airport. And just as I was leaving yesterday, I took my cable out and left my only English USB plug charger. And I was so fucking careful. It's always something, isn't it? It's always something with being inattentive. That's me annoying.
Well, you could have just, I'm sure in the first class lounge, they would have given you a charger.
The irony has not escaped me.
Anyway.
What about you, Sam? How was your week? Oh, no, what? No, that's the wrong question.
We've done that one.
Yeah.
What about James?
You haven't talked about what you put in the script, have you?
No, not at all.
No, he hasn't.
Well. What about you, James?
I've got a picture ready on my phone to show everybody that's looking on YouTube or somebody's calling me now. Apologies.
That is ridiculous.
I
really do love 16th century architecture, even 12th century, anything really. Churches and the history behind them, trying to look at which notary figures from history visited the exact place I'm stood on now. And so I took a bit of time out, went to Cambridge yesterday and took 2 pictures of churches specifically to annoy James. It must have been an hour of my life just to annoy you. I did also get to see a cool church.
It's not just that, is it? You also brought with you and showed me your coin purse, Ding, and how you push coins out of your coin purse. And you do this in Germany when I'm not there. And don't tell me, but still do it because you know it annoys me.
And I make mumbly little noises while I'm pushing it with my index finger around and 10 cents, 20, and that adds up to 80. And I do it just because of how much it would annoy you if you were there.
This underground or behind the scenes trolling that I get all the time from you is ridiculous. Anyway, thank you for sharing that, Alex, when prompted. Sam, what about you? What have you been doing instead of doing what you were supposed to be doing?
Sorry. Right. Not a lot this week, actually. I was supposed to be filling up my tyre with air, and I was filling up my tyre with air, but then I got distracted, wandered off, did something else, came back, and had to let a lot of air out of my tyre.
Was it like the house from Up? The film? I haven't seen it.
I was a bit worried about driving on it, but it was fine. And then I should have filled up with petrol, but obviously got distracted and then thought, I'll have enough. I know it says I've only got so miles, but it'll be fine. And then I'm just coasting along the motorway, trying to get to the next service station. But I made it, so that's good. And yeah, I did ruin what I thought was a really good joke when James was pretending he was in a shop.
Oh God, yes. This is I forgot. This is incredible.
James was like, "Oh,
can
morning."
I? Yes. Can I just preface this? It's really important. Apologies. No, I wouldn't. Sorry. Siri's just thought I got so animated. Siri got involved.
For anybody text a picture of my Willie to Mum.
Shut up. Anybody that's a bit younger than us might not be that aware of the 2 Ronnies. Alex is Ronnie Corbett, remember? No. But they wrote one of the greatest comedy scenes or sketches ever, which is the 4 candles scene, where somebody goes to the shop and says, "Yeah, can I have 4 candles?" And obviously the confusion. So Sam and I were not sober, and for some reason I kind of pretended for a laugh, a really shit laugh, I was in a shop. And now carry on, Sam.
And I thought, oh, I know something funny to say here. I remember an old sketch. So I went, "Oh, hello. Can I have some 4 candles, please? I was gutted.
Oh, so close. Some 4 candles.
No.
It's the
And then I couldn't
perfect.
think of any other way to say it, which just shows how clever they were.
That's one of the options, certainly, of what that shows.
It's. I mean, Sam, you are now known on this podcast as like the destroyer of jokes, but that's the perfect destruction of a joke. It's the mechanism is completely broken by just putting one word in there. Brilliant.
Yeah.
I guess,
Anyway,
Sam. I guess, Sam. We have to ask him, don't we?
I guess so. Yeah. Go on.
Go on then, James.
Okay, so obviously, I've been back at work, and last week was hell at work for a number of reasons. Very, very, very busy dealing with issues, but at the same time, and I can't go into too much detail for obvious reasons, but I had requested Robert from Kidderminster's medical notes, and that process was ableist, and they came through. So I've actually spent quite a lot of time going through what is 1,000 pages of medical notes, which are all all of them might have just 1 or 2 words that are really important in terms of understanding what happened with Robert from Kidderminster. So again, when you've got ADHD and you are expected, it's not like my family are forcing me to do this. I've said, I'll do this, but you're expecting of yourself to read through 1,000 pages looking for the odd word. It's so hard. Even though it's emotionally rewarding, it's just so hard, that to try and focus, because after a couple of pages, and the handwriting in medical notes is obviously, the temptation is, well, I'll skip that page because I can't really read it. But no, you have to go back and try and read every word. Yes, Al.
No, you can't.
I know.
I just really like the fact that you were saying something serious and sad, so your ding wasn't very high pitched.
I know.
A serious double entendre. I love it.
It was. So I spent a lot of time doing that and organizing it though, like separate folders for therapist notes, clinical notes, this department, that department, and I'm quite proud of the fact that I could do that. But oh my god, the mental toll of even the printing, for fuck's sake. It was printing off 5 minutes before the podcast, and I thought, oh shit, I'm gonna have to pause it because the noise it makes. And then luckily it finished. That's what I've been doing.
Wrong.
Yeah, that feels like what you should have been doing a bit.
Well, I mean, my job.
It's actual job.
Oh yeah, your job, yeah.
And the charity stuff. We get more than 2 messages on Instagram, Al.
And 3 or 4 times last week, I'm ignoring that. 3 or 4 times last week, you finished work and then we went to do a talk, and we didn't get back till 11. It's very, very long and fun days, and we're grateful to have them. Obviously, not moaning. And we are going to take a break. In part 2, as always, questions and thoughts from the ADHD Adults and ADHD Adult UK community. To our bit.
Alex, hi.
Aight. What's up? Hello, Governor. Jesus already.
Welcome back to the ADHD Adults Extra Thursday podcast. This is episode 77, part 2. We are talking all things reflections on the week in ADHD, on the theme of last Monday, which was seasonal affective disorder, and also taking questions from the community. That's the bit that we do in part 2. First sort of question, which is also, I think, a feedback letter that was frankly ugly and unnecessary. We've shortened it slightly. It was directly to Sam, so I'll read it out. This is a question we got, but also feedback. Hey, Sam. I saw you today on episode 71, and I just wanted to say I really feel for you. I hope you're okay. I love you being on the show, weird, and the boys were really lost without you. Whatever shitness is going on in your own personal world, there's always more people that actually care about you than you think, so don't stop reaching out to them for help. Oh, I've just realised this is from an Australian listener, so I should definitely do the accent.
No.
That being said, I'd like to make a complaint. Firstly, I don't know. That's
Please carry on.
No. Firstly, I think it was episode 68 where Alex introduced a question from Brenda. Yes, Brenda. Not Brendan or Brendan or Brendan, and not even Brandon. Fuck. That's much better in an Australian accent. My one chance, no, I'm not doing it. It's racist. My one chance to get credit for contributing to the betterment of the world in this.
Go on.
This has to be in an Australian accent. And this moan-faced shit sipper ruins it.
That was more Cockney than Australian. That's a terrible
was it?
accent.
I'm so sorry. This moon-faced shit sipper ruins it. Thank you. As soon as he said Brenda, I thought, shit, I bet he means me. I told myself not to worry. James will tear him a new Adel voice box for getting it wrong. A couple of minutes later, James did refer to Brendan, but that was it. No verbal sodomizing of Alex, no tirade of anger at all. That's it. I'm never listening to this again. Now, seeing that I am an ADHD Aussie male with a deranged sense of humour and sarcasm via social media is often misinterpreted, it's important for me to point out I'm only taking the piss out of the fellas. However, it did make me stop and think about how emotionally spent James must be to miss that opportunity. There's some really lovely personal reflections as well, and I'm not going to read them out, but we've read them and we thank you very much for them. Now, if the fellas wanted to make it up to me, they could always go back and answer the other part of the question I had that never got answered. It was something like, how did they become academics with ADHD? Also, are people with ADHD less likely to complete a university degree? Thanks for all that you do, guys. It's been really tough these last few weeks. Now I was in a bit of a downward trend, but catching up on a month's worth of episodes had me crying and laughing. The perfect soulful cleanse. That was from Brenda. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
Brendan, Alex, Brendan. You moon-faced shit sipper, was it? Amazing. Brendan, I fucking love you. You're incredible.
James, I'm coming to you with this. First question is, do people with ADHD, are they less likely to complete a university degree? And secondly, how did you become an academic?
So on average, remember this is on average, most studies, yes, people with ADHD are less likely to apply to or complete a higher education degree. Yeah, that's why I said both.
Yeah, that's called like a narrative emphasis. I'm wasted here.
And that's not because we have a lower IQ. We don't. It's just because there are structural barriers in place that stop people with ADHD from having a successful academic career. The people that don't get adequate support, the people that don't get diagnosed, the people that are just labeled as being naughty or disruptive. I had a really good conversation with somebody at one of the talks, which was about some of the inequalities that you get. And they said, and this really woke me up a bit, they said that one of the things, and there is evidence, actually no, it's when I was on the radio, he says, obviously talking about himself being in the media again, it said that studies have shown that white boys that kind of are ADHD and hyperactive and have behavioral issues because of that often go down the SEN route, but boys of colour are often pushed down the mental health social services route instead of the SEN route, which I think is awful. And I think therefore it's really important to remember there's nothing you can't learn, unless it's massively unrewarding to you. And that's not that you can't learn it, it's just that your brain won't engage with it. How did I got into and did my degree in PhD because I was shit at nursing. I broke my back. I was always fascinated in health and disease. So I was able to focus because it was emotionally rewarding. Learning about health and disease and the body and physiology was pretty much the only thing I had. And therefore I focused on that and then failed upwards. What about you, Al?
It's a really good one. I made a mistake with my PhD. It was terrible. I impulsively signed up for something because I was flattered. I wanted to be Dr. Connor. I hadn't given it any more thought than that. I don't use it anymore really much. What I did was I said yes to something that I was objectively quite good at, even though that strength was really bad for me. And one of the things I do now as a coach, which isn't a thing, but it's much better than my academic career, is trying to align people's, not just their strengths, figure out what they are, but the strengths that actually make them happy, in the short term, in the emotional reward term, rather than just something they're good at. There's things both of you are really brilliant at, but they're probably not healthy for you to do. And you do them anyway because because you're nice and you want to help people, but it is, you've got to look after yourself first. I didn't do that. So if you are going into any academic role, please think about your motivation for doing it and your genuine strengths that are good for you mentally and physically, not just strengths that you're good at. That would be my absolute advice.
And Mrs ADHD, and I think that it was good. It was useful. I mean, I wasn't listening. I'm assuming it was good and useful, which is not what I normally assume. Mrs ADHD, I think
I'm not in academia.
No, but I think your experience of doing a degree, which you did at the same time as working, I think is very ADHD, and it's important to share if you don't mind.
Yeah, I've tried a few times with the OU to get a degree, and I had to keep changing subjects because obviously at first I'm like really enthusiastic about it.
Yeah.
Really, and writing essays, I hate it. It's like bees in my brain. I just can't. I'm no good at being precise and having the word count low. I just want to waffle on for ages. So it's really hard. But if I really enjoy the subject, I can maybe do it and I do well in it. But I was just getting no reward from it. And then I was just changing subjects, and then I'd like it for a bit, and then the same had happened, and I just couldn't stick at it.
What's interesting is, again, as an external observer, and at the time we didn't know that either of us had ADHD, although I suspected, Mrs ADHD would leave that piece of coursework until the night before and then stay up all night writing it and hand it in saying, oh God, it's useless, it's crap, and then get 87% on it and do really well and get great feedback, but would still say to me, I'm useless at this, I'm rubbish. So that the lack of self-esteem, the poor metacognition, and that, needing a hard deadline to do something was all very apparent back then.
Yeah.
Right then, thank you for that. We'll move on to the next question, which is from Double Rumples over on the Discords. And it says, James and Alex, correct me if I'm wrong here, I probably am. When you say 2% of the population are believed to have ADHD, is that just best, in brackets, scientifically reached guess, based on information on the limited studies that have been done up to now? If so, do you see that figure as being potentially much higher? I just don't see that many normos in rabbit ears about. Maybe it's just because I'm from Sandwell. Well, you definitely won't know Double Rumples if you live in Sandwell, because that's where we are. But I think that figure may be conservative, but that's based on feeling, not fact, Alex. Oh, also,
So really,
should I say the second bit?
What did it say? Let me check. Oh yeah, go on.
It says probably a daft question, but I'm a few drinks in. Thanks for that, Double Rumples. Alex.
Yeah. No, it's a really good question. And the short answer to your question, Double Rumples, is yes. It's a best guess, scientifically reached, based on information, but not actually that limited. There's an awful lot of studies out there, and they tend to be broadly in agreement, except in America, where it goes crazy high. I think, and actually probably most ADHD scientists would say somewhere between 2 and 5%, because the variation in the studies is pretty broad. My experience, and now this is not science clacks on, is about probably 2.5%, about 1 in 40. But if the evidence shows us it's higher, then that's what it is. Also worth pointing out, a lot of people are sub-threshold ADHD, so they might not quite reach the diagnosis level, but that definitely affects them. And it's very hard to tell, because if you're doing really well in life, but you have the exact same symptoms of me, and it doesn't moderately affect you because you're a famous impressionist, for example, then you're not going to get a clinical diagnosis, even though it's the same. What about you, James? What do you think about the number?
I was just interested in you saying, in my experience, it's 2.5. So does that mean 2.5% of the people you've met have ADHD? Or just you've read some papers and it's 2? In my experience, just seemed like a really odd phrasing.
Absolutely insane phrasing. I don't know what I meant was. I meant, I meant look at. Don't know what I meant. I think 1 in 40
of the people you've met.
I don't know why I said that. No, it's based on the papers, James. You're right. Absolute bollocks.
Yeah.
Thanks for that,
what I'd say
you could have waited till we weren't recording.
No,
it wouldn't be as fun then, though, would it?
Yeah,
no
exactly.
idea as much fun.
So, you're right. So these figures come from things called meta-analyses or mega-analyses, and that's where you look at a whole bunch of studies done in different countries and add all the numbers up and work out, statistically speaking, what the normal range would be across multiple populations. And generally it comes out at just above 2.5%, but it could be higher. So at our talks, we tend to say, not that we talk about our talks much, we tend to say at least 2.5%, because it is probably higher.
Good one.
Sam, look at the script.
Oh, yes, I've got a question. Actually, I should have put this in one of your sections, because I'm not going to be able to read this out, but I put it in because I wanted to know the answer, as always. Right, as you need tyrosine or phenylalalala to make dopamine. It's just a guesstimate. And it's challenging to get enough of those proteins from plants.
Amazing.
This is flawless.
Shall I start again? As you
No.
eat
Crack on.
tyrosine or phenylalanine to make dopamine, and it's challenging to get enough of those proteins from plants on a daily basis, unless you're quite organised about your diet. Is it a bad idea to be vegan if you have ADHD? This is from Kate from Discord.
Do you want to go first, Doug? I know. So what I would say is, generally speaking, it's rare to be deficient in tyrosine, and because of tofu and nuts and other non-animal products that have these nuts, it's not funny, objectively. That it is easy as a vegan to get those amino acids into your diet. I'm not sure how common a phenylalanine deficiency is without having a disorder in one of the enzymes that measures it. But Alex, do you want to add anything to that?
Yes, please. I would like to go first.
Go on.
Can I say first? Very. With veganism, as James said, you do have to seek out sources of protein, but all of the eukaryotes have phenylalanine and tyrosine in. That's plants as well as animals. So there isn't anything unhealthy about a vegan diet. There's, as you all know, if you're vegan, there are a few things you have to just keep an eye on, like with any restrictive diet. But there isn't any reason why why people with ADHD should not be vegan. None.
Yay.
Fab. On that note, we'll take a break, and in part three, yes, we'll carry on with some extended personal reflections that none of us have on the theme of seasonal affective disorder. See you in a bit.
See you in a bit.
No.
Trumpet. Welcome back to episode 77 of the ADHD Adults podcast, a week in ADHD number 12. We normally finish off these bloody ridiculous Thursday episodes by providing some for Sam. What are you?
What?
You just seemed like you were going.
Noisy.
Were you aware of
I'm
that?
sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay. As usual, in the third part, we provide some extra personal reflections, but this week it's on a subject that none of us have any experience of, so it'll be short at least. So the first question is, Alex, you can ask it because it's in blue.
Yeah. We always ask at this time, what made you choose the last idea for a theme, seasonal affective disorder? And I would say that Sam made us do it and we didn't want to. That's the thing. Because do you remember when we did?
No,
we did New
I
Year's
can't even
resolutions.
find it as a suggestion for a podcast.
You thought we were doing
Don't know
SAD.
where
Do you
it
remember
came
when
from.
we did the other one?
Oh yeah,
but that's
I did think that.
but that's because the script had been written. I'm pretty sure that you suggested it, Alex. I'm pretty sure.
It doesn't sound like me to do something boring, James. So just think about what you said. What about you, Sam? Why did you choose this theme for this week?
I don't know how many times I have to say this, but I have no editorial input at all in this podcast. I don't choose anything.
James?
Yeah, I don't know. I was against it from the start, to be honest. That's dead air for you.
Was there any thought or tip from the theme from last week, which was, remember, seasonal affective disorder? Pretty sure my mum has it. Oh no, you can't out someone's medical history. Sorry. Was there any thought or tip from the theme that you forgot to say? James, a top tipic, spunk chump, anything you forgot to say?
I think any discussion around periods of low mental health, whether it's bipolar or a more traditional depressive disorder, etc., there are a few tips which are given by NHS mental health services. It's things like have a picture of a loved one in your purse or wallet, so you can have a look at them if you're feeling particularly low. It's making sure that those closest to you, so your partner or a flatmate, is aware of your mental health issues and are not monitoring, but are able to notice if you're in a low period and can support you in that. So if you're able to share with the people that are closest to you that you sometimes have problems, and let them know, how that might manifest itself, alongside the little tips like having a picture of your friends and family and making use of some of the excellent free charitable services for talking to you when you're feeling low. That's what I'd say.
I think that's really good. Sam, anything else? And please don't read out what James has written on the script for you there. Say something else. Elements of ADHD, including ADHD itself, that probably can be helped with talking therapies like CBT. Other therapies are available, as long as the practitioner knows something about ADHD. That's what the evidence says. However, what we should say very often, and I think we will from now, is that it's really, really blooming hard to get talking therapies on the NHS because, you know, they have to pay for it. And it's to look at the fact that anyone can say they're a psychotherapist. Certainly in the UK, it's a protected title in some other countries. So be very, very careful. If you have to go private, make sure you get testimonials, word of mouth, or coach as well. That's even less regulated. So I would be really careful with that.
You can coach yourself.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's not easy though, especially for people with ADHD. I think we're going to do I think we should do a whole episode on self-coaching with some top tickets. Good.
Not responding.
That was episode 77 of the ADHD Adults, and it was the first ever 12th Thursday edition of our ADHD Adults podcast in the second half of January, or it was the second, I don't know. I need to check on Spotify. After Monday's episode on ADHD and seasonal affective disorder, if you liked this professional masterpiece of a podcast and would like to get involved, please contact us on the socials, on Discord. We are the ADHD Adults, or go and have a look at our website, adhdadult.uk, possibly. And we'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.
See ya.
Trigger warning klaxon. Klaxon, 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 big klaxon. Trigger warning klaxon.